Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got another Vectorworks tutorial for you today, and this one's a really fun one. I was just inspired using a D-Zine and I saw some really cool structures for like an urban park. So I thought it would be fun to show you how to model this kind of thing up using Vectorworks, and then later on I'm also going to make a quick tutorial about how to show this urban park using TwinMotion as well. Okay, so I'm just going to extend these little bits of path here. And essentially, let's move these down to the edge there. You'll notice that they're very easy to edit. In kind of double clicking them just takes you into the extrudes. One of the things, as I say, I really love about it, it's the flexibility to edit things a bit later. It means that you don't have to kind of like commit to something. So there we go, that's looking a lot better. And basically now I'd like to start to prop my model out a bit more. So I'm going to go and search for some assets, and this is real strength of Vectorworks. It comes with a huge range of assets, and basically I also make a lot of these myself. Many of these are things that I've kind of either modeled or collected over time, and I like to kind of process these into nice little visual libraries, as you can see. So this is one from my collection of furniture, it's my bench pack, and these look really cool in that I can basically just visualize them. I kind of remember where I've stored them because they're in a library, my favorites, and basically I can just copy and paste them in. And finally, they do a really nice job because they work both in 2D but also 3D as well. So if I was doing an architectural plan, you know, I could use them very effectively in my 3D model because that 2D graphic looks absolutely spot on, and also the 3D model looks nice too. Okay, so we're just going to tweak the position of those a little bit. As ever, just make sure you kind of get them at the right heights. So we'll try and select them by symbol name. That's a great way to select all of those just on their own. And there we go. So now we can kind of begin to prop this out in a bit more detail. So I'm just going to pop over to my people pack actually. Maybe I'll copy through another bench, a different type, and we'll just kind of like have a few different sort of types of benches down here at this lower level. So, you know, these ones you can see have a kind of more graphical kind of symbol on them, or representation in 2D. And basically this is something that I often build into my symbols. So you've got like a 2D and a rendered graphic, as well as a sort of more of a drawn graphic as well, depending on what you want. So all you need to do is edit the classes to change those visibilities. Okay, great. So we've got a couple of our benches down here. So now I think we just need to carry on with a bit more planting. Let's have a look at something else for this aspect. So I think what I'm going to do is just don't save that one. I don't need that one anymore. Let's open up my other pack of 3D plants. So this is something that I made a little while ago. And again, it's been really fun to make all these libraries. It's something that I find very satisfying. And when I do my teaching and training, I'm very generous in sharing the libraries that you might need when we do our one-to-one training as well. So do reach out to me if I can help with training, which I do all over the world in bespoke sort of coaching sessions and also group sessions for larger practices. Okay, so here you can see we've got a really nice library of symbols, basically in some different sizes and different styles. And again, the advantage with these is while they look pretty good, they're relatively low polygon, so they don't slow the computer down at all. There's nothing worse than having a really nice asset that it's unworkable. You know, so you've got to get a balance between nice sort of level of realism, something you can actually use, and something that doesn't sort of crunch your computer to the point where it's unusable or starts crashing. And you can see, you know, within a few moments, I've used those plants. I just need to kind of get them selected and just drop them down. Again, same thing with those ones there. Just try and get those selected by symbol name, drop them down to the correct height. And already it's really, really coming together, my urban park. So I'll just kind of move those in a bit. They're a bit close to the edge. And one of the benefits of working in 3D, I think, is that you can kind of just make all these adjustments to both your plan and your 3D model at the same time. So pretty happy with that so far. So let's basically scale this tree down a little bit. It's a bit big, so we can scale that down and maybe kind of do the other one a little bit less as well. So this is a really nice way that you can get variety into your symbols just by using the scaling aspect within them. Okay, so really, really happy with this so far. So next up, I'm just going to basically go and pop in a Renderworks camera. So here we go. Let's get a Heliodon in first, by the way. So the Heliodon will do something quite special in that, of course, it will cast nice realistic shadows And these are physically accurate, i.e. realistic in terms of time and location anywhere in the world, potentially. So I also like to play around with things like the environmental lighting, the object reflections, and also the ambient occlusion as well. Just to get an extra little bit of soft shadowing, and those nice shadows from the heliodon make a real difference, as you can see. So now we're into kind of like the final stages of refinement. I'm really happy with my park, but I've noticed that a couple of things aren't quite right, so I can easily just pop back in, double click, and I can clip out those little areas there for the soil. You know, the soil itself is a bit high, so let's kind of adjust that extrusion depth there. And I think also I might just want to kind of like three-dimensionally move it. Command Option M is the Move 3D command. And let's improve if we can, to find a better soil material as well. So looking for things in Vectorworks as sort of textures and things is super easy using the resource manager. If you don't find them in my texture packs, you'll certainly find stuff in Vectorworks. But I will say that my texture packs, they are wonderful quality and they really have speeded up my workflow. But not only that, they kind of just add a nice level of quality that you're in control of. So you can see that I found a much nicer soil. And, you know, for me, that attention to detail makes a big, big difference on the level of kind of quality of your model. So using things like simple scaling and, you know, textures and things can also make a difference. Now, another little tip is just to kind of go into the materials and basically add some extra things like reflections and things like that later. So when we're ready, we'll do those final touches. But basically, I can kind of like just kind of evaluate my model, have a little spin around. And what I think I need now is some people sat down. So over we go to my people pack. Got those 3 or 4 people who are actually sitting, and it should be pretty easy for me to kind of pop those into my model, just rotate them and just kind of get that sort of slightly naturalistic sort of sitting on the seat look, just to kind of create a bit more interest there. Okay, great, that's looking good. So let's see where we're going to go in terms of, let's just edit the width of that path a little bit. I've decided it's a bit thin, and that is an easy change to make just by going into the extrusion and editing the depth there. Okay, so that looks a bit better. You can see we've got a bit of Z fighting, so I might need to just basically copy them and just clip out that soil using clip surface, just so that we've got not a clash where those materials overlap. Okay, fantastic. So I think those people need to be moved down a little bit, as do the benches. Let's just kind of rotate that round. No, the wrong way. Just make sure she's sort of sat on the bench rather than in the soil. And you can see using the B key and things like that, it's very easy to kind of zoom in and get that precision. So again, we'll just do the same on this side. Just make sure she's actually sort of sat on the bench itself. And as there's a little planter here, it would be really nice to get some extra little plants in there, I feel. So maybe we'll kind of just copy this plant, and let's just scale it down a little bit here. And then basically I can just use the kind of B key to see it. Let's move it up to the correct height there. I really love that B key. I think that's an amazing aspect. To be able to work in wireframe or rendered mode at the touch of a key is super useful. So we'll just unrotate it, drag it down, and then just Command D just to keep going at that spacing. I really like offset duplicates on so that I can do that Command D and just keep offsetting with that same spacing very rapidly. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of make sure that's lined up. So we've got a bit of symmetry there. I'm fairly relaxed about the position, so I'll just move that one back. Okay, and I'm going to use the nudge by distance command, just so I can do Command Option M and nudge by, say, 100 mil. So I really like that kind of symmetrical design there, and I think that looks very, very nice. Okay, great. So, you know, you'll notice that in Vectorworks, changing the view is something that I do fairly sort of straightforwardly using my large keyboard. But if you haven't got a large keyboard, there's many other ways to change the view, including the wonderful on-screen view controls. Make sure you check out my video on that specific topic if you haven't seen it. But you'll notice down in the bottom left corner, there they are. Okay. So we're going to move on to the final stages of this project tutorial, where we're going to create a really nice little presentation now. So make sure that you do a 300 DPI render quality, and basically let's expand our presentation so we've got a number of different pages. I'll just double click and get rid of the annotation for now. I don't really need that viewport label. And here we go, let's just click update to get the full rendered resolution of that plan. So a really, really nice sort of rendered plan with some nice shadows. We can drag off a copy now and change it over to the front view. So we've got almost like a kind of sectional view of our little urban park there. I think probably need the other view there and looking at a 3D view there too. You might need to do scaling that down ever so slightly, but that's easy to adjust. I think that's really cool. Let's give it a bit more breathing space. And we'll just scale those down using custom selection. And basically we'll go to 75 scale. Okay, so coming on quite nicely. I think for the next view, let's whiz back to the design layer and we'll see if we can get a perspective view. So I can just turn this into perspective at any time. And basically we do have both single point and also 2-point perspective. Now I'm intrigued to see what it will look like if I add in a Renderwidth sky to this particular visual. This may not be something I want completely in all the viewports, but I'm going to give it a go and see how that looks. The nice thing about things like skies is you can actually do them in one viewport, just in the viewport setting, or you can do them globally in the model as well. So you'll notice that you can also, in your interactive settings, change all your things like colors and kind of background appearances and things too. Okay, so let's go ahead and just pop that onto our drawing. Let's drop it down to 75 scale, just so it fits nicely on the sheet, and we'll snap it to the page center. With a click update, you'll see now the final render quality comes through, and we get all the things like the shadows in there as well. Okay, so that's looking good. So I think now we need a couple more drawings just to kind of finish this off. We'll go for an orthogonal view. But this time I'm going to see if I can create a section. So I'm going to turn off my Renderwidth background before I do this. I'm going to use the wonderful clip cube. So when you click the clip cube, it does a bounding box. So now we can kind of like slide through our project and essentially we can right click to create a section viewport. Okay, so you can see that I've now created a really nice little kind of sectional view. If I do want to, of course, I can easily just drop down and change the rendering style as well. So we'll just cancel the update there and let's go down to shaded quality. I think that'll look good. And you'll notice shaded quality actually renders a lot faster than inline as well. Okay, so that's looking good. Now we've got a nice kind of little bit of kind of detail there. I can spot a couple of things that I need to fix. So basically I can always double click and go back to what they call edit section in place. And I can see those bits that are slightly floating there. So let's just kind of like see if I can group all of those. So that means I can do a big multi-selection on everything else and basically make sure it's all aligned to the bottom. Just remember not to distribute at the same time. Perfect. Okay, so that was a really nice little aspect of editing the section in place. When I click return to viewport, you'll see that that immediately updates. Okay, fantastic. Here's where we can just put the Renderworks background just in that one viewport. So that's probably a better option because I don't want it in all of the viewports. So rather than doing it in the design layer, I can just put that nice sort of Renderworks background there, just in that section there. Okay, so I think just to finish off then, we need one or two more drawings. Let's just see if we can kind of just create our final couple of drawings here. So I think what we'll do is we'll go down to our model and basically let's actually mirror it all the way across, just so we've kind of expanded the scale of our park a little bit. And again, we'll put this on a different design layer so that I can essentially turn it on and off as required, and it won't update in those original viewports. So that's a really good little tip. If you want to do things like this, have a slightly bigger kind of version, just put extra bits in the other design layer, and then we'll be able to turn those off when we just want to show a smaller proportion. Okay, so I'm very, very happy with my little kind of urban park. It's come together quite rapidly. Now I'm going to create a sequence of some little save views. So let's go on to the save views palette. Just remember not the references one like I was clicking there. So referencing in Vectorworks is a very cool function, but we'll talk about that in other videos. Okay, so I think I will bring back the Renderworks background for this particular animation. So all I need to do then is just go into my shaded options, just check everything going in there. You'll notice the environment lighting does have an effect now if I do want that, but sometimes it makes the image a bit darker. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of go into our Granite material and we'll now do material editing. So this is where I can easily go in and add some sort of element of reflectivity. I often actually use the mirror shader for this and just sort of make sure you kind of like do a slightly darker image to select. So now you can see a bit of a subtle sort of shine there where that lady is standing. You see a little bit of a shine on the pavement. So it just adds a little bit of detail there. So I was just using the little moving widget, which is a really nice aspect of Vectorworks now, the fact you can move in 3D using the little kind of widget mode as well. So doing a little kind of test preview of my rendering, just using the walkthrough tool. And when I'm ready, I can actually save additional views. So just sort of adjust your view as best you can. Using the walkthrough tool, you can kind of like pan around and actually shift the view. You can see that I'm just creating a small sequence of these save views every time I want to create essentially a camera position. So we'll kind of like spin around the model and we'll kind of reverse back up a bit. We might need to kind of rejig these people a little bit here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of move those around a bit. So again, just select them, and using that widget, we can slide her back a little bit so she's just not in the complete frame. Okay, so we'll do V5 and let's review our images. And I think finally for this last one, I'll come up in the sky, do a bit of an aerial view. So we'll kind of V6, I think we're up to. And let's put it into a 3D and perspective and get a nice three-dimensional sort of overall kind of view of the little project. I think that looks good. So we'll have V6 as well, V7. Now, when you're ready, you can select all of your views and you can basically right-click, edit them. And this is where you can put in a wonderful transition. So instead of kind of a couple of seconds, you could put 3 to 5 seconds. So I've got a nice little 5-second transition timer. So now basically I can go through and put my project into presentation mode. Now I really love this feature, the fact you can hide the docked palettes on the side, and also you can put your mode of your mode bar, your view bar, in compact mode as well, or should we say auto hide. So basically this is a really nice way for me to kind of whiz through and look at my save views in detail. And basically to do that, I can just zap off the section so I don't see that. Now all I need to do is move over to the side, and you'll notice the side panel just pops out there. So I can basically just double click my view and essentially transition between them. So I might want to just basically access the save views from the top as well, which I can do. Now you'll notice that if you do the first one, now you get that nice transition over to the second one with that 5-second transition. And it's really, really nice, and that we can kind of animate between these as required. So I really enjoy sort of creating presentations like this. Often when I'm presenting to clients and things, I will use the save views in order to kind of like storyboard my concept of how I'm going to present to the client. So using things like the automatic dot palettes and the fact that we've got our save views on the side there, we could just double click those to animate between, kind of tells the story really. So, you know, this sort of storytelling aspect of your design, it's a really nice aspect if that is in the design software where you're actually creating the modeling and doing the texturing and the lighting and the rendering. Now, of course, this isn't photorealistic like real-time rendering, TwinMotion, D5 or Unreal Engine, but all of this you can see is done in one bit of software. You know, we've done our drawings, our models, we've done our presentation, all of it in Vectorworks in a very short space of time. So here we can see some of my final renders that I did using TwinMotion and a little bit of AI and enhancement. So make sure you subscribe, ready for the next video where I'll be talking about how you can create this next level of realism using TwinMotion and AI technology to enhance those images. So thanks for watching everybody. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye. So just before we carry on looking at the amazing new features in Vectorworks 2025, I just wanted to reach out to you and offer my teaching and training services that I offer all over the world via Zoom. I'm an experienced architect with over 20 years experience, but I've been a Vectorworks user my entire career, and I really love teaching people from small practices to individuals, whatever level you currently are. I can help you on 2D, 3D, BIM or various visualization workflows. I also really love teaching Vectorworks in combination with things like TwinMotion, Enscape and D5 Render for 3D visualization. So wherever you are in the world, if you'd like to reach out and improve your Vectorworks skills, please book a call or drop me an email and I'll be very, very pleased to help. I look forward to hearing from you soon.